If you got a question, please announce who you
Yes,
are and what state,
yes, if we can,
region
if you
you're
have a question,
representing.
if you can,
Yes,
in an orderly fashion,
right.
be acknowledged, stand up, etc., and say who you are and what we've got.
I just have
Yeah.
one big request. Can you please send out the link to the general site for that database? Because
Yeah.
I'll put it up on my site, and that way they can just automatically put it in the general data.
It will be
Mark will probably have an email.
Yeah, we're
It'll be on
working
our-
on
it'll be on our
finishing
website.
it.
Actually, they're working on it
Yeah.
Let's say
as we
how
speak, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Mark and Bruce are working on that currently to get it integrated between sites and so that everybody can link to it.
Yeah, and I'm more than happy to volunteer to input the data if somebody doesn't have.
And we're hoping it'll be up on the site that people can input data themselves too.
Arthur's working on that.
Yeah, and what we have, yeah, they're working on that. Lots of people working. Any
I
other?
do.
Oh, but yes.
I wanted just to explain a little bit about, some of you guys don't understand the structure. There's your board of directors, then there's your executive committee, and then comes your regional directors and your state directors. All your players are going to talk to you as a state director. You're going to report to your regional director. Your regional director is going to pass it on to your board and make sure it gets on the agenda. This is why everybody's really, like, you hear us all saying, make sure you work with your players and talk to your players, because you're the one that's going to catch the heat in your state when they say, why didn't you do anything about this? I came to you. I came to you. Make sure you put that in writing and send it on to your regional director so they can get it to the board. That will save everybody a lot of hassle.
As far as the direction that they take on any issue, it all comes from
It all
what you
comes
guys
from the
want.
players.
Yes.
Exactly.
Counts.
Exactly. Yes.
Tom Willis, co-director in New York, with Kevin Westcott. Kevin and I have discussed a few things in reference to our state and ideas that we have. And what I'm getting is that our ideas need to be submitted for approval. Now, I'm just letting you know what I'm hearing here, all right? And in the past, it seems that when people have ideas and they want to bring it to a larger level, it just ends up in stagnation and frustration. What is it that you will enable us as state directors to be able to do and say, I got a local group, 25 players, I got ideas, I want to get tables out to these players, I want to get sponsorships locally, I want to make it happen yesterday. I don't want to wait for these approvals from a base intent. If our intent is all the same, can you empower the state directors to call the regional director and say, this is my idea, we're going with it? And is that the way you want it
All
done?
time. Yeah, nobody, we're not going
All
to.
right, that's the...
No, yeah, we don't want to tell anybody how to run a tournament, how to run a promotion, whether or not they can go to. No, it's actually, the structure is definitely set up for more. I mean, also to share your ideas. You did something, you have something that's working great, and let other people know, or you ask questions about things like that.
So with that in mind, all right, being as we do want that one voice, that one promotion, USTSF, then if I've got this promotion thing that I want to be able to do, but I want to be able to pull from the USTSF as an organization, so if I can go, how do I work within the USTSF to get that identification so that when I go to a sponsor with the ideas, with the promotional effort, that I can say, this is the organization, this is the, how it will impact locally, but here's the potential for national.
You go to your regional. You're a state director.
I am now.
You go to regional.
Yes. Actually, and
So, this is what I'm saying. This is where it's...
yeah, that's where you need something. If we have it, all you do, email, ask your regional director, email anybody on, all the emails are on the website, email anybody, ask the question. If there's a resource there that can be used, it's
and if
there.
not, come up with it yourself and make it happen.
Exactly. And we have, things like going and getting sponsorships. We have press kits. We have things like that for media relations, sponsorship kits to, you know, taken with nice glossy things in there to show potential sponsors. You know, we have some of that stuff already available, you know.
I just wanted to make sure
Oh, yeah.
that I knew what direction
yeah.
it could go.
Oh, it goes both ways,
Exactly.
definitely.
So now,
Yes, Carlos.
so now, wouldn't that kind of wind up being detrimental to an organization if you've got different branches of the organization doing their own thing? No, isn't that kind of complete opposite of what an organization is supposed to do, is organize? You'll have things in disarray at that point.
To an extent, except that you're not dealing with an organization that's geographically centralized. I mean, you're looking at an organization that's comprised of essentially a half a continent at this point. The country, you
And not
can't
just
have
that.
everything unified and being the same way throughout the country, because promotions and things, you know, things that work in Iowa may not be the same thing that appeal to players in California or that appeal to players in Alabama or in Maryland or in Illinois or anywhere. So there has to be that individuality. But collectively, as you know, the USTSF is more of a collective voice. Obviously, if there's,
But,
especially.
I mean, it sounds like everybody would be yelling at a bunch of different things at that point.
Well, we also need a way to communicate with each other.
Yeah, that's why you have a state director.
It sounds like state and federal government. You have state government that gives you, which is your state directors, you have the right to go through and handle things that affect your state. But if you need resources from the organization, then it has to go through and be approved. So you've got autonomy to do what you need to do for your players, for your area. If you need the big boys to jump in and help, give it to them.
Yeah, and it's one of those, and there's already, it kind of sets up a network if you want to have, you know, you want to do a promotion and it's going to run across different states. Yeah, I mean, now we actually have a structure in place where, well, I need to know who to contact in my neighboring state or whatever. That information is there, or if they, or they're not necessarily all the information is there, but somebody who may have the information is in that organization, be it another state director or regional director or somebody else. I mean, it's really pooling a lot of resources together.
It is, and when you have autonomy within a state, you're going to develop creativity within a state as well, individual programs, which then from the bottom can trickle up to the top, create direction from the top that will help out others.
But are there not going to be any sanctioning rules? So to get sanctioned to run a tournament, you have to turn in your points, you have to run an honest tournament, you have to pay out. I mean, there's got to be some sanctioning rules that protects the USTSF from being a bogus organization.
Absolutely. And actually, that was something I was going to bring up for new business, is to really, I'd like to get a couple of people here to sit down and decide what's important in sanctioning. What is it, if the USTSF were to sanction an event, do there need to be different levels of sanctioning? And what is it that the players would look for, that when they see, for example, USTSF sanction, what does that mean? You know, when I go to a tournament that has that, what do I expect? You know, the minimum standards of what do you expect? And I think that's a very good start. That's something I've been thinking about for quite a while.
Generally in the past, when you've got the word sanction, it means that it's a guarantee of some sort.
Not necessarily, it just means there's rules to protect.
And there
I mean, that's what a sanction is,
Yes.
you have to, yeah.
Exactly.
The sanctioning brings benefits, and as Pat said, there may be different levels to those benefits depending on what the local